Nothing lasts forever. Look back at the tapestry of history. The Roman Empire collapsed. The Spanish Empire faded away. The Soviet Union dissolved overnight. We often lull ourselves into believing that modern superpowers are invincible, that this prosperity we enjoy is a permanent guarantee. But what if I told you that this sense of permanence is merely an illusion? History is not a series of random events. It follows a hidden blueprint, a recurring cycle that has trapped civilizations for centuries. There is a precise pattern, 7 stages to the collapse of an empire. And if you look at the evidence, the United States is currently sitting squarely at stage 5, the erosion of trust. You feel it, don't you? That gnawing sense of unease when you read the headlines or watch the cost of living climb month after month. That quiet, persistent suspicion that something is fundamentally broken deep within the system. That feeling isn't paranoia. It is a symptom. This anxiety you feel about the future isn't just bad luck. It is a systemic issue. The most powerful nations in history have all walked this exact path. I call it the hidden historical blueprint. It is a multi-generational trap where the seeds of decline aren't sown during the hard times. They are planted unnoticed at the very peak of our greatest prosperity. Once you know where to look, this pattern becomes undeniable. It isn't chaos. It is design. And we, the generation living through this moment, have inherited the consequences of triumphs and mistakes made long before we were born. The question is, are we destined to repeat the cycle, or do we have the power to break it? Welcome to the truth. Every story of collapse begins with a paradox. The ascent. Let us go back to where it starts. Stage 1, the ascent. This is when a nation rises from obscurity or struggle. It is driven by innovation, by an iron will to conquer, and by sheer economic grit. They build bridges. They fuel factories. They create tangible, undeniable value. It is an era of giants. And then, inevitably, they reach stage 2, the zenith. This is the moment the sun never sets on their dominion. The world looks on with a mixture of awe and envy. Wealth flows like water. Their military appears invincible. Their culture becomes a global standard. Life seems flawless. But my friends, this is a precise moment the trap is sprung. It is within this blinding glare of glory that the seeds of destruction silently take root. Unchecked prosperity breeds an invisible enemy, complacency. We begin to believe that success is a birthright rather than the hard-won fruit of sacrifice and labor. We inherit the glory, but we forget the price paid to secure it. Look at Spain during its golden age, intoxicated by galleons heavy with New World silver. Look at the British Empire, its reach stretching across every continent. Look at the post-war might of the Soviet Union. Each of these titans, at the very apex of their power, already carried within them an invisible fracture, a fatal hubris masked by success. They believed the party would never end. And that is the great tragedy of history, that our greatest success is often the very beginning of our end. And this is where the trap truly snaps shut, not with a bang, but with a quiet, insidious shift in the very soul of the economy. We enter stage 3, financialization, or as I call it, the shift to abstraction. Look at your bank account. Look at the cost of living. Do you feel that your money buys less and less? Do you sense a strange disconnect between honest value and the numbers flashing on stock tickers? That isn't your imagination. It is a signal that the economy has fundamentally mutated. We stopped making tangible things, cars, infrastructure, goods that actually serve a purpose. Instead, we began to manufacture money itself. We shifted from an economy of creation to an economy of speculation. We started chasing profit through debt, through leverage, and through complex financial instruments that few truly understand. This is the stage where the makers, the people who build and create, are pushed aside to make room for the gamblers. The prosperity we see now is a magnificent mirage built on sand. It echoes the Dutch tulip mania of the 17th century, the South Sea bubble of the British Empire, or the frenzied stock market of the Roaring Twenties. In every single instance, money chased money, but the core was hollowed out. We are leveraging our children's future to pay for short-term gains. We are trapped in a spiral of debt and abstract value. And when an entire economy transforms into a giant casino, there's only one outcome. The house always wins, and the collapse becomes inevitable. Look around you. The trap is already set. When an economy turns into a casino, the fabric of society gets torn in two. Welcome to Stage 4, the Widening Chasm. This is the stage where you begin to feel the net tightening around you. You work harder than your parents did, yet the dream of owning a home feels further away than ever. You play by the rules, but the finish line keeps moving. Meanwhile, a select few at the very top of the pyramid watch their fortunes multiply exponentially, seemingly immune to the gravity of crisis. This inequality is no longer just statistics on a page. It is visceral. It is visible. It is the brutal contrast between private jets and families struggling to make rent. History has a name for this. We call it the Gilded Age. Think back to the era of the robber barons, titans of steel and rail who held absolute power, while the common worker fought for scraps. We are living through that history again, right now. And do you know what the most terrifying part is? It's the realization that the game is rigged, not by a conspiracy in a smoke-filled room, but by a flaw in a design that is compounded over generations, a design that rewards assets over people and speculation over honest labor. This division doesn't just kill opportunity, it kills social cohesion. And when the gap between us and them becomes an unbridgeable canyon, something darker begins to poison the collective soul of the nation. And when the gap between the rich and the rest becomes a canyon, something far more dangerous begins to take hold. Anger cools into something colder. Disbelief. We enter Stage 5, the erosion of faith and institutional decay. Let's be honest with each other. When was the last time you looked at politicians, at the nightly news, or at the banking system and felt genuine trust? Or did you just see empty promises and self-serving agendas? This is a stage where the very institutions built to protect us shift their focus to protecting themselves. They become cold, bureaucratic machines where the voice of the people feels faint, and your vote feels like it carries less and less weight. History has shown us the cracks in the foundation, from the shock of Watergate that shattered public innocence, to the 2008 financial crisis, where millions of families lost their homes while the architects of the disaster received bailouts and bonuses. Those weren't just economic events. They were fatal blows to the social contract. And here's the most critical truth I need you to hear. The United States, right now, is sitting exactly at Stage 5. The system is bleeding legitimacy. It is turning society into a cage of apathy and cynicism. Do you feel unheard? Do you feel like you don't know who to trust anymore? That is the sign. You're living right in the beating heart of this historical trap. But the question remains, what happens next when a nation no longer believes in itself? When trust shatters, the foundation begins to crack. We are walking on a knife's edge. You can feel the fragility in the headlines, in your savings account, and in the desperate way the economy tries to keep its balance. Welcome to Stage 6, the precipice of collapse. This is the inevitable collision between the erosion of faith and a mountain of debt. The economic system becomes so inherently unstable that it turns into a house of cards, waiting for a single breath of wind to bring it down. This is the moment the walls of the trap truly begin to close in. The unchecked spending and speculative bubbles of previous generations have created an unbearable burden for ours. We are left footing the bill for a party we were never even invited to. History does not lie. Remember the Weimar Republic, where wheelbarrows of cash were needed just to buy a loaf of bread. Remember the endless bread lines of the Great Depression. Or more recently, the foreclosed homes and shattered dreams in the wake of 2008. These are the ghosts of Stage 6. Whether it is hyperinflation, deflation, or a market crash, the form may vary, but the result is identical. Your security is stripped away. But listen to me closely. This is not necessarily the end. This is a turning point. History shows us this isn't just a theory. It is a blueprint. And right now, we are standing at the most critical crossroads of our time. Here is the single most important question you must ask yourself. Is our fate sealed? Is this cycle an unavoidable death sentence? The answer is no. Welcome to Stage 7, the crossroads of transformation, the reconfiguration. This is the ultimate destination of the pattern. But it does not have to be the end of the line. Yes, an old, decaying system must eventually collapse or transform. But it is from the ashes of that chaos that a new order is forged. The question is not whether change is coming. It is whether we will let it break us or use it to reform us. Collapse, as painful as it is, offers a rare opportunity. An opportunity to wipe the slate clean, to design better systems, to ensure this trap does not snare our children. Understanding this pattern is your most powerful weapon. We inherited this trap from generations past. That was not our choice. But we possess the power and the moral obligation to dismantle it for the generations to come. Awakening is the first key. From the civil rights movements of history to the resilient local communities rising up right now. These are proof that human agency can bend the arc of history. History does not write our future for us. It only offers a warning, the pen to write the next chapter. It is in your hand. We have a natural instinct to look for a villain. It is comforting to believe that all this chaos is orchestrated by a secret cabal, sitting in a smoke-filled room, pulling the strings of the world. Why? Because if someone is driving the bus, even if they're evil, at least someone is in control. But the truth is far more terrifying. No one is at the wheel. Welcome to the reality of Stage 8. The systemic nature of the trap. This historical cycle is not a conspiracy theory. No shadow group is competent enough to execute a master plan spanning centuries and generations. What we are witnessing is not a bug. It is a feature of the current system. It is an emergent property born from systemic incentives, from fundamental human nature, and from countless short-sighted policy choices. When politicians prioritize the next election cycle over the next generation, when CEOs prioritize this quarter's earnings over long-term stability, and when rational individuals make choices that make sense to them personally but lead to collective ruin for society, the trap builds itself. Do not waste your energy chasing ghosts. The real conspiracy is much simpler, much harder to see, and it is woven into the very incentives that govern our lives. Understanding this changes everything. Because if this were the plot of a few powerful men, we might be powerless. But if this is a flaw in the design, then we have the power to redesign it. So, the final question I leave you with is this. What role will you play in this history? Make no mistake. You are not a passive spectator watching a disaster movie unfold on a screen. You are an active participant. Every decision you make, every conversation you start, is helping to write the next chapter. Ignorance is a chain that binds us to this trap. But awareness is the key to breaking it. Right now, you hold a blueprint that few possess. Do not keep it to yourself. A single candle cannot hold back the night, but 1,000,000 candles can light up the sky. Start building resilience in your own home. Reconnect with the community around you. Become a voice of reason in a sea of noise. If you believe that we deserve a future better than collapse, then share this message. Send it to someone who needs to wake up. Join the conversation below and tell me, what is one thing you will do today to prepare for tomorrow? The future is not written by fate. It is written by us. The choice is yours. Act now.